Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot and the 2021 awards. Of course, if you haven't seen the 2020 awards, you can go back and watch it. It's quite long though, and I'm not sure if you enjoy it because we're now going to be doing 2021 awards. Don't know why I'm talking about that. Anyway, we've got Ashley from Crust 2.0 and Venu, of course, from Quality Shot as well. How are you both doing?
I'm doing well.
So it's a second edition, and we've got quite a few categories to get through. So we'll get right into it. I will timestamp the video as well. So you guys watching, subscribers, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Thank you. Can obviously check it out and skip to any categories that you have more interest in as well. So first of all, we'll go through some of the moments of the year. So for those of you who don't know, watching, well, you probably won't, there'll be the best T20 moment of the year, best ODI moment, best test moment, best franchise moment. So that's including obviously IPL, PSL, Big Bash, whatever you want. And funniest moment of the year, as well. So let's start off with T20 International Moment of the Year, or Best Moment of the Year in that format. There's quite a few because it was a T20 World Cup year. Venu, do you want to start us off? What have you got? You can say a couple if you've got one. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you're both big Pakistani fans, but the Australians finishing off Pakistan and sending them back, knocking them out of the tournament. The way Matthew Wade finished that innings was incredible. I think they needed 50 runs at the start of the 17th over.
Yep.
And they managed to get it with an over to spare. And I think it was aptly Matthew Wade was supported with Stoinis as well.
Yep.
But I remember the vivid memory I have is him ramping Shaheen Shah for 6. That was just a ridiculous shot, incredible shot.
Yeah.
And
probably shot of the year, to be fair.
That was shot of the year. That was my moment of the year.
No, that's fair enough. Asjad, what have you got?
Mine is also to do with the T20 World Cup, but it more is to do with the 24th of October when Pakistan absolutely hammered India in a World Cup. So I haven't seen that before in my life. Pakistan have never done it in a World Cup, so I was very, very happy about it. On top of that, the way Pakistan dominated with the bat, winning by 10 wickets against India with the bowling brilliantly as well. You know, Shaheen Afridi picking up 2 wickets in the first 2 overs as well. So the entirety of that game for me is the moment of the year because it's unprecedented. It's unprecedented from a Pakistani point of view and from an Indian point of view, losing by 10 wickets in a T20 game. So that has to be my moment.
Yeah, I mean, for context, I guess, for people who are not aware, we haven't beaten India in a World Cup until this year.
Now.
So, as in all World Cups, T20 or ODI World Cups. We've beaten them in the Champions Trophy, but that's not a World Cup. So that's why it was such a significant victory. And the fact that we beat them by 10 wickets, as Asha said, was like incredible. And it probably as well gives a lot of respect to India because the fact that we managed to beat them by such a large margin and the fact that you picked it as a moment says a lot. I've got a few here, other kind of choices as well. Let me know what you guys think. I've got Asif Ali versus Afghanistan. We need 24 off 8, and he blasted us the victory in a very very surprising way because we weren't really expecting it. He did against New Zealand, and he was like an unsung hero in that. I also have Pollard 6 sixes versus Sri Lanka. Obviously, managing to get 6 sixes, Benny's like, what the heck? That was quite impressive, but maybe the context is not amazing considering that it wasn't a World Cup, but still 6 sixes in an over is unbelievable. And I've also got Namibia making the T20 group stages, getting through qualifying, which I thought was really impressive. But for me, the best moment was Shaheen's opening spell against Australia, where it was unbelievably unplayable, that first opening spell, the first couple of overs, where Aaron Finch literally put his front pad down and he was already out LBW. Like the umpire's finger was already up. That's how quick and how fast it's gone. And Mitch Marsh, who obviously played so well in the end in that final, at the start was missing the ball by this much. He was literally putting his bat and he didn't know where the ball was. It was just mesmerizing, that opening spell. But he managed to get through that and then get runs. So like kudos to him. But it was just such a good spell to see. But yeah, I think all the moments are good. We need to stick to one. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to change it? Are you happy to stick with the ones that you had originally? And if so, then I'll make an executive decision.
I'm sticking with mine.
I'm sticking with mine.
The fact that Pakistan were the favourites to win that tournament after the group stages. And
No, we
fact
weren't. England were.
Pakistan and England were. You can't say just
Let's put they were the favourites to get to the final, and nobody thought Australia would pull it off, and they did, and it was an incredible moment.
Okay, fine. Let's give it to that. You've convinced me. We'll go for Matthew Wade. So heroics against Pakistan brings a tear to my eye, but it's fine. Pakistan had a good tournament, to be fair. So, but it was an incredible moment, nonetheless. And to be fair, it's worth noting that one of the moments will be, of course, Australia winning the World Cup as well. We didn't mention that, but the fact they won it was incredible. To say the least.
It was surprising, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but probably that is the biggest upset of the year if we had that as a category. Best ODI moment of the year. I'm happy to go first. I've got a bit of a weird one, but Ireland beating South Africa in July, which I thought was, as I said, there's not much ODI cricket going on, but that was one of them. I thought that was a big step for Ireland beating South Africa, just because they need to rack up types of wins like that to then re-cement themselves and try and push on if they want to become. They are already a test-playing nation, but play more tests than they are right now anyway. So they only play 1 or 2 a year, I think it is. Asjad, what did you put?
I've got England. Again, a lot of my things are Pakistan associated, like Pakistan related, because that's more fresh in my mind. Pakistan getting hammered by England 3-0 in the ODI series. Because, again, the way England had to bring up a new side completely, like all 11 players or however many there were, completely replacing it in a couple of hours, then playing against Pakistan, who basically came to England kind of prepare for not prepare for the World Cup, but basically, prepare everyone, get all the juice flowing, everyone started to play and stuff. So, and then at the end of that, getting absolutely beaten. I think it was the third game where Pakistan probably gave a bit of fight, but England was outstanding. So for me, the moment, and I know I'm giving a very broad one for me though, but I think the moment is that 3-0 because it was very unexpected.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Venu, what about you?
Oh, I'm surprised you guys haven't gone for this. Is Fakhar Zaman's 193 against South Africa?
Oh yeah, of course. No, I missed it.
That was incredible.
That was this year. Yeah, that was an incredible knock, and we did the watch along. Yeah.
Forget that. That's my moment of the year.
Yeah,
I'm already changing it. That
was unbelievable. That knock. Yeah, that was. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. I'm happy to give it. That was a ridiculous.
Can you explain why was it such an amazing moment?
What was sorry?
Why was it a great innings by Fakhar Zaman?
Fakhar Zaman. I think it's the way they accelerated. I think it was just the pure hitting in that moment. I think Pakistan are not known as well for getting big totals, and also for him, he was under a little bit of pressure as well. But the fact that I think his first 50 was about a runner ball, and then he just absolutely motored to that 193. It was immense, to be honest with you, and a real shame we didn't manage to get 200. But it was a phenomenal knock. I think we both watched it live, Venu. I think we did it together. But that was an incredible knock, to be fair.
They lost by 17 runs, you guys. So
yeah,
he nearly pulled it off. But great innings. So we've all agreed to that one. I've changed the minds.
Yeah, and a losing cause as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That is definitely, I think, worthy of ODI moment of the year. We've go on to the big boy one, which is best test moment of the year. I've got a few noted down, but I'll go to you first, Venu. What do you think?
It has to be. It was the very start of this year. India beating Australia in their own backyard. Was it at the at the Gabba at Brisbane, and Australia. Back when they played that game, they haven't lost a game there, a test match at Brisbane since 1988. So that shows how hard it was to win there. But I think they needed 320 odd, and they had a target 328, and Rishabh Pant fantastically led them to the victory. So supported by Shubman Gill. But I remember listening to that on the radio and thinking, surely not. Surely they're not going to do this. But it was an incredible performance. I think India's first win in Australia. Is that correct?
No, they won the last time they were there as well.
Oh, last time as well. So India
mm.
back to back. So
yeah,
just failing to do what England have this Ashes campaign, but
yeah,
just shows it is doable. You can beat Australia in their backyard. It's doable.
yeah. Of course, it's doable.
But
They are not.
It shows how impressive that moment was, and that's my test moment. And Rishabh Pant hitting those winning runs at the end. That's my moment.
Yeah, it was at the start of the year as well, wasn't it? In January. But it was a fantastic way to start the year, and it was a really, really impressive win. Unlikely victory at the Gabba, which is a fortress, which has been a fortress anyway for Australia for a number of years. I've got a few noted down here, and then I'll go to you on top of the one that Venu noted. Probably not really a huge one, but New Zealand beating India in the World Test Championship, finally winning an ICC tournament. Obviously, they've come really close, making a lot of finals. Start bowling Burns, leg stump, first ball of the Ashes, which was quite hilarious, I thought. And also West Indies beating Bangladesh, the Myers-Bonner comeback, where they put on a partnership of over 200 and a 395 target. They had, to be fair, India also had a second string side, but so did West Indies against Bangladesh. They were away from home in Bangladesh. They managed to then secure the series by winning that. And Myers and Bonner were completely unknown quantities, and Meyer hit a double 100 in that, which was like unbelievable. And I think that for me is really up there. Asjad, what do you think?
All brilliant choices, all of the ones that I had written down anyway. But there's another one I just thought of now is India's entire performance, beating Australia in Australia, then beating England in India, then beating England in England. The only thing they failed to do was beat New Zealand in the World Test Championship final, which is, again, as you mentioned, a great feat. I want to talk about the Ashes, because England lost the Ashes in like 11 days, if you include rain and everything and all that good stuff, right? So for me, the moment of the year was going to be Gabba, and it probably will be. But just as an honorable mention, I want to talk about the Ashes, because the way Australia has played is great, but the way England has just crumbled, it's really funny. And I really enjoyed it personally, because I was supporting Australia, and they're doing it. They're doing it. So yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, we could do a whole other podcast, I think, on that, to be fair. So we'll leave that for a review of the Ashes. But yeah, England are in tatters at the moment in the Test arena anyway. But yeah, let's give it to India and the Gabba win. Really impressive win. And as much as it pains me to say, no, I mean, look, kudos to them. Really, really, really impressive win, to be fair. And I'm hoping Australia come and tour Pakistan in March, because that's supposed to be scheduled, and I think we'll whoop them. But anyway, best franchise moment of the year. Asjad, what do you think?
I don't think Pakistan's whooping Australia, but all right, okay.
At home, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm hoping for that, obviously, right? So again, obvious choice for me. I watched the IPL. Chennai Super Kings is my favorite team in the IPL. They won the IPL. They were brilliant. They had 3 bad games in the entire tournament as well. And then, winning the final quite easily. You had Ruturaj Gaikwad smashing it all over the place. You had Moeen Ali, a godsend in this year's IPL for CSK as well. You had Josh Hazlewood. A lot of brilliant performances from CSK. So for me, the best franchise moment is CSK winning their, I believe it's their 4th IPL championship. But honorable mention, Multan Sultans and PSL and Mohammad Rizwan's amazingness, right, over the course of this entire year in T20s. I know you said just franchise, but if you look at T20s as a whole, he was just outstanding. So yeah, but personally, CSK all the way.
Okay, Venu?
Yeah, I agree with Asjad. I actually put down CSK as well. There were how many wins?
Four championships, right?
Championship. And I think the media called him the Dad's Army. You had Dhoni,
yeah, they did. Yeah,
Patrick du Plessis, who played very well in that final. I think scored a lot of runs as well.
Yeah.
IPL, but yeah, just very impressive win for CSK. So that's my franchise moment. And remember, it was postponed, wasn't it? So they originally played in April, and then moved it to October.
Yeah,
just before the World Cup.
Yeah.
So amongst all the chaos and having tournaments in 2 separate times of the year, I think CSK did very well there.
Yeah, I'm happy to give it. I mean, obviously, you guys know I don't watch the IPL, but I know what was happening, and I know that they were really impressive. So, Let's give it to them. So well played to CSK. They get best franchise moment of the year for winning the IPL. Funniest moment of the year. Asjad, I'll go to you first.
Again, I couldn't think of any funny moments, but just when I watched this match, I felt like it was hilarious that there's a bowler called Akila Dhananjaya, gets a hat trick in 1 over, and then comes back and gets smashed for 6 sixes. So for me, that was pretty funny.
No,
What
I've
happened?
never seen that happen in a match. Huh?
Yeah.
What happened?
That was Pollard against Pollard. So in
Yeah,
that match where Pollard hit 6 sixes, he got a hat trick earlier in the match, then got hit for 6 sixes in the same
Yeah.
match.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Literally the next over.
Yeah.
Over. He bowls to Pollard, and Pollard smashes him for 6 sixes. So yeah.
Yeah. No. That's hilarious. Venu, what about you?
I don't know. I think it's all fresh in our minds. It's just England's batting. It's been hilarious, hasn't it? I'm not sure it's a funny moment. And Rory Burns getting bowled first ball of the Ashes. That's pretty funny. Looking back at it. Joe Root getting smashed in the box by Mitchell Stark after he got hit in the abdomen.
Oh,
and it's like
abdomen. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's funny, but
yeah,
it's just,
abdomen. In the groin.
You can just laugh at it, can't you? It's just been a laughing stock.
Yeah, I feel like Venu's really angry about England.
I'm angry.
Right,
So I think Ash's example is probably funnier.
I've got
funny moments on the field. There must have been some funny moments in the field.
I mean, there's a few with England and Sri Lanka. Dick Weller and Root.
Oh, Dick Weller.
Is hilarious behind the stumps. Yep.
Oh,
he asked Ollie Pope if he could give him batting lessons. I think it was hilarious.
It wasn't Ollie Pope. It was.
It's like reverse. It's like reverse sledging. It's hilarious. But yeah, some really, really like weird bits going on. Quite funny. I've also got here, which to be fair is a bit of a nick from the Great Cricketer, but the interview. But obviously it happened on the field. We didn't really hear it because of stump mic. But is Matthew Wade telling Stoinis, they're scared, we're calm, and just they're like the way that he retold how Matthew Wade was talking to him, like when they were running between the wickets in the T20 World Cup, was just absolutely hilarious. So that's what I noted down because it made me crack up so much the way that he described Matthew Wade. But yeah, happy to go with whatever. To be fair, Venu, what are you both going with? Are you sticking to?
I think I like your Fizan, your mention of Dick Weller's chirping behind the stumps. It was hilarious. And it's quite clever as well. It wasn't nothing untowards, nothing abusive, but just him asking Joe Root, "Can I have one of your bats?" That's pretty funny.
Yeah, can I have one of your bats? Yeah, exactly. Like he doesn't get enough bats. Hilarious. Yeah, fine. We'll go with that. We'll go with the chirping from Sri Lanka to England. But Asjad, your example was pretty hilarious, to be fair. But I don't want to make Venu too upset by giving it that. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Right, let's go on to the T20 the T20 Player of the Year and T20 Most Disappointing Player. You know, I love giving out Most Disappointing Player of the Year. Let's go to T20 Player of the Year. I'm going to go first because I have to. Because I've got a really strong case. Ash's probably going to go for the same one. It's got to be Mohammad Rizwan. It has to be Mohammad Rizwan.
I've gone for him as well.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think obviously I said T20 and in T20 International he's got the most runs, but overall I think in T20 and just T20 in general cricket, he's scored over 2,000 runs, which is like a record. It's just unbelievable. But I've also got mentions Babar Azam, Shamsi, Baldwell, Hasaranga, and Butler as well. Butler had a good World Cup. Didn't play like amazingly throughout the whole year, but he had a good World Cup, to be fair to him as well. And Hasaranga, I mean, everyone knows how much I love him, but he's now the number one T20 bowler, and probably rightfully so. But yeah, do you guys want to just you obviously both picked Mohammad Rizwan, but why have you picked him?
Yeah, just because he's scored so many runs this year. But before 2021, he didn't make much of a name in T20. He had scored before 2021, scored combined 313 T20 international runs in 26 matches and only 150 plus score. Whereas 12 months later, this time he's played 27 T20Is in 2021, scoring 1,239 runs at 72.88 average. So nearly 73 runs averaging with a century and 11 50s. Century and 11 50s out of 27 T20 internationals. That's ridiculous numbers.
So, he averaged 17, I think it was, before this year. He now averages 51. I mean, ridiculous. I mean,
So he's
Just want to also add on to what Venu said. I think you forgot the last game Pakistan played against West Indies because he's actually scored 1,326 now. So he has another 50 onto it. So that's 12 50s this year with an average of 73, whatever you said. So on top of that, a strike rate above 130 as well, opening up. And if you listen to Rizwan's interview, he was like, well, I just play my game because I know the best batsman in the world is batting next to me, which is shocking, isn't it? We're not talking about Babar Azam, who scored almost 900 or whatever runs this year as well, right? But Mohammad Rizwan has just been brilliant in like Fazan. We have at least 3 videos combined on both of our channels talking about why Rizwan shouldn't be selected, or can Rizwan work as a T20 player? It is
yeah. So to
13
open,
months.
right? We didn't think he
Yeah.
could open. Yeah.
Exactly. And as an opener, he's done an outstanding job. I think his, it was genuinely in New Zealand back last year in December where his opening stint kind of started. And he had a really good third T20 or second T20. I can't remember exactly. I think it was the third one. And then from that point onwards, he just hasn't stopped. 1,300 runs with 2,000 T20 runs the entire year. Nobody has scored 2,000 T20 runs in a year. Not even Chris Gale, right? Chris Gale was like 1,960 or something like that. Like not even Chris Gale. It's brilliant. So yeah, he was absolutely just, words can't describe how well Mohammad Rizwan played this year. The acceleration he did as well. If you know, like one of the biggest issues with Rizwan was he's not a power hitter. Look at his last 5 overs whenever he bats. He's like striking above 209 nowadays, right? It's fantastic. So yeah, very, very impressive. And if you bring any other names into discussion, Fazan, I'll fight you because I don't think Mohammad Rizwan can be disputed in this instance.
To be fair, I was ready to fight as well, but no, he's definitely had the hot hand this year, Mohammad Rizwan. I mean, he's been incredible. So well done to him to getting quality shots, T20 Player of the Year. I'm sure he watches all the videos, and I'll tag him as well.
Bye.
Exactly. T20 most disappointing player. I've got a few, but I'll go with Venu first. Who have you picked?
I'm going for when I was thinking I had to pick a West Indies player due to their disappointing World Cup. Obviously, I haven't taken into the lead up to the World Cup and the other international T20s they play, but I've gone for Andrew Russell. I know he hit those 6 sixes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh yeah, he's stopping great.
This World Cup. So what was it? He only 5 matches in the World Cup, 25 runs, only 3 wickets, an economy rate of 9.22, which is really, really disappointing from him. And that's why I picked him.
Yep. No, I Andre Russell is this enigma where he's just so talented and everyone loves him and everyone wants him in their team. And he's like a flash in the pan every 10 games for me. And he's not quite he's never fully fit, so he never really bowls how he can bowl as well. And I feel like because he's always playing, needs to look after himself a bit better. But I just feel like he's a really frustrating player. I feel like he hasn't quite fulfilled his potential I think he could be even more of a star than he already is. I don't think the stats are quite what they should be. So I see that. Venu, what about... sorry, Asher, what about you?
I understand where Venu's coming from. I actually have to go with a couple of Bangladesh players. Afif Hussain, who had a lot of potential. A guy who was basically Asif Ali, but for Bangladesh, right? That's what everyone was calling him. That, he's coming in. He's going to come in at number 5, 6, or 7 and just bash from the beginning. He averaged about 18 this year, playing over 20 games. His strike rate was less than 120 for a guy coming in at 5, 6, or 7. Not very impressive, unfortunately. Had a few 3 or 4 ducks as well this year. And the other player was Shakib Al Hasan in the T20 international landscape. Yes, he was injured. Yes, there were some other things involved. But he was, in terms of his batting, was quite disappointing wherever he batted for Bangladesh this year. So, yes, with the ball, of course, when he performs well, Bangladesh win, right? And with the ball, yes, he had a lot better performances than with the bat. But it was one of them. I'll go with Afif Hussain because I know Shakib wasn't a disappointing player. It was just a disappointing batsman. So Afif Hussain for me.
Okay. I've got a couple here. I've got Glenn Maxwell, which might be controversial, but I think he didn't perform that on the T20 World Cup. And I think even though they ended up winning the World Cup, he didn't really have a huge impact. Funnily enough, I've gone for Steve Smith as well, which is a weird one because you might think, oh, but again, he was on the winning side. But I think the whole year and like just in T20s, I know he didn't perform well in the IPL either, from what I know. So just in general, he hasn't been great. And then I've got Owen Morgan.
Yeah, I just remembered.
Owen Morgan has been really, really poor. To be fair, in ODI cricket, but more so T20s, I would say, probably just. I mean, he's not scored any notable runs from what I can remember. So I would say Morgan. But yeah, we're all kind of at an impasse. You guys happy to stick with your decisions?
No, Morgan it is for me. I as soon as you said Steve Smith, I was like, who's that other guy? It's Morgan. So for me, Morgan, definitely he's been quite horrendous with the bat, which is something that we couldn't have said a year and a half ago, right? Same thing with Mohammad Rizwan. He's been outstanding with the bat, something we couldn't say about him a year and a half ago. So yeah, Morgan makes complete sense to me. I'm going to change my decision.
Okay, Owen Morgan it is. You win T20 Most Disappointing Player of the Year. I'm sure he will be really, really happy to get that award. I'm sure he won't hate me whatsoever. Probably won't care. ODI Player of the Year. Let's go for that. Asjad, I'll go with you first.
Again, don't remember much about ODIs, and when Venu reminded me of the 193, I was like, oh yeah, that happened this year. Yanman Malan, a player from South Africa. I think he averaged like 70 or 80 this year, striking above 100. He's second or third in the most runs as well. So he's got a good average, good strike rate. And he was a shock for me. If you remember, we were talking about, why isn't Yanman Malan playing for South Africa in the T20 World Cup? Because he's that type of player, Yeah, that's the thing. But his performances, even against spin in Pakistan, have been quite impressive. So overall, I think in ODIs, for me, it has to be Yanman Malan.
Okay, Venu?
I've gone for Paul Sterling of Ireland.
Interesting. Okay, go on.
The fact that he's so Milan is actually second on the leading run scoring list. Paul Sterling is first, 14 matches, 14 innings, 705 runs with a higher score 131, averaging over 50, hitting 300s and 250s. He's had a terrific year, and he's and Ireland have played UAE, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, and Netherlands. So some strong players there, strong teams. But the only issue is that Ireland have only managed to win 4 out of 14 games this year. But he's just been fantastic, Paul Sterling.
Where's Barbara Azam on the list? He's the number 1 batsman in ODI cricket.
You mean the leading most runs this year?
Yeah, I mean,
number 7 or number 8?
We haven't played much. Yeah. What's his average like?
He's averaging 67.
I mean, I put down Barbara Azam. I mean, it's a bit of a really, I guess, obvious answer because he's the number 1 player in ODIs. But I mean, I'm happy to go with Paul Sterling or Yanman Malan as well. To be fair, I mean, Pakistan haven't played a huge amount of ODI cricket, so it's not really 67 is fine. But he's probably only played 8 games or something. Venu, not many, I'd imagine.
Yeah, same with Yanman Malan as well. Both of them played about 8 games. The good thing about Babar Azam's year was the fact that he was striking above 100 in ODIs. Something we don't really see from him as well.
He finished off some games quite nicely, to be fair to him as well. But let's go to Paul Sterling. I'm happy to, if you guys are. I mean, look, it's a bit of... Asjad's not happy about it. He's not happy about it. Ready, what do you think? Do you want Paul Sterling? Okay, I'll go with him. You outvoted. Sorry, Asjad. I just think. Look, I mean, obviously,
that's why I'm here.
It's a bit of a left field. It's a bit of a left field decision, but I think
my only case is okay, is the teams they've played against Ireland have not been are not as good as South Africa playing Pakistan or whoever else they played in ODIs, Sri Lanka, if I'm not wrong. But that's my only...
You can only play who's in front of you, to be fair.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm okay with Sterling, but look at the average as well. Yanman Malan has an average of 84. He's only played half the games and scored 509 runs. But I'm happy with Sterling.
Paul Sterling wins ODI Player of the Year. A little asterisk there just to say that obviously not a lot of ODI cricket played and not a huge amount of importance on it this year because of the T20 World Cup. I'm assuming the same will be in 2022, to be fair as well. ODI most disappointing player? Asjad, have you put?
ODI most disappointing. Come back to me because I've got a couple
Venu,
of.
who have you got?
I wasn't too sure of this one, to be honest. Who have you put?
I put Owen Morgan. But I just really hate. It seems like I really hate Owen Morgan, but I don't hate Owen Morgan. It's just he's just been really poor. Like with the bat. I mean, we're talking about player, not just no. I mean, if it was captain, if captain was part of it, then obviously he wouldn't be there because he's a really good captain. But as just looking at him as just from his performance as a batsman, he's been really poor again. I don't think he's really done much. But then in saying that, there hasn't been a lot of ODI cricket played. So, yeah, don't know what you guys think.
This is the thing. Morgan makes complete sense. ODIs are something that I've completely taken out of my mind this year. So
yeah,
that's the disappointing thing. You could talk about Mohammad Rizwan. He hasn't had the best time. If I look at Pakistan in ODIs, look at how well he's done in T20s or in Tests.
That's true.
He's disappointing if you compare it to that. So
he hasn't quite managed to make it click yet, has he? In ODIs, whereas in Tests and T20s he has.
Yeah.
Well, things for Zan.
Yeah.
Owen Morgan's only played 3 ODIs this.
Okay. So then probably a bit harsh to him.
That's quite a small sample.
Agreed. No, agreed. I'd give it to Mohammad Rizwan. Why not? I think just because I think if we look at how good a player he is in the other formats, I think it's probably a little bit disappointing that he hasn't quite made it click in the ODI format yet, because he's become very comfortable in the other two, which is a bit weird because T20 and Test cricket is so different and the ODI is in between, but he hasn't quite managed to make it work yet. I can see Venu calculating the stats of how well he's done this year.
It's more about the comparison with his performances in Tests and T20s, and then you look at ODIs. That's the reason why I would say disappointing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's averaging 22.3 ODIs this year. Tests, he's averaging 45.5. And we know what he's been
T20 72, so ridiculous. Yeah, so there's obviously night and day between the other two formats and this format. So says a little bit. I'm sure he'll make it work. Hopefully he does in time for the World Cup, which will be in 2023. Test Player of the Year. These are going to be the interesting ones now. Test Player of the Year. Let's go with Venu. What have you got?
So as a Sri Lankan, I've gone for the captain, Dimuth Karunaratne. He's been fantastic. He has had a fantastic year. He's on 902 runs in 7 matches at just shy of 70 with 4 centuries this year. I think, is he second after Joe Root in terms of most runs this year? I don't think so.
He's in the top 3. He is in the top 3.
Yeah, he's in the top 3.
No. To be fair, Joe Root's played about 100 matches, so
yeah, he has. And we need to understand that he had 2 centuries in Bangladesh against Bangladesh, and he had a double ton, a brilliant century against West Indies. But the biggest highlight was his brilliant century in Johannesburg against South Africa. It was in a losing cause, but
impressive it was away.
He managed to get 103 of 128 deliveries in the 4th innings. But and to put that into perspective, Sri Lanka were bowled up for 211, and no other batter managed to score 40 in his side. So that's how class his ton was. And but South Africa did win by 10 wickets in the end. But I just given it to Karunaratne of Sri Lanka.
No, he's in the running for Test Player of the Year from the ICC Awards. I think it's himself, Roots. There's 2 others who I've completely forgotten. Ashwin and I've forgotten who the other one is. So maybe you guys can have it, but if not, it's fine. I've got here as mentions Joe Root and Pat Cummins, just because I absolutely love Pat Cummins, and whoever's listened to me doing watch-alongs knows that I just completely wax lyrical about him, left, right, and centre, about how good a bowler he is, and mainly because I've had Jared Kimber on, and he basically explained to me that he is just a phenomenal bowler, and he's the only bowler at the moment who can bowl wobble seam. I'm picked up from Mohammad Asif, but wobble seam in the most consistent way at that pace, which is why it makes him the best bowler around, apparently.
Wobble seam, not accidentally. That's the
not accidentally. Yeah, it's not accidentally. That's the thing, right? It's not accidental. He's got control, and he's that is the right word, control, and he also bowls at 140 clicks. So he's almost unplayable at times, and we've seen that in the Ashes series so far. Ashad, who have you put?
So you went with Joe Root and slash Pat Cummins. So I just want to throw a spanner in the works. Ravichandran Ashwin with 52 wickets this year, right? You could talk about Akshar Patel with 36 in 5 games. You could talk about Shaheen Afridi, Hassan Ali as well. All bowlers, I must add that, right? But they've had a sensational year. So I'm going to go with Ravichandran Ashwin. I was going to say Root if you didn't say Root already, but I think Ravichandran Ashwin had a phenomenal year wherever he played. I think in Australia he wasn't as impressive, but he was still impressive. He got more wickets than Lyon, didn't he? Which was really good from an Indian perspective. So yeah, I'm going to say Ashwin, but I know we're going to concede on Root at the end anyway. So I'm going to go Ashwin.
Venu, what do you think?
I think I might change my mind and go with Ashwin just to pick a bowler. He's and a spinner as well. But I would have said Joe Root has had a prolific year, but
Yeah,
the last month has been.
But that's
poor.
a bit harsh. I mean, he's had a ridiculous year. I think
I feel bad
not to
give him
4
games out of like 15.
They have, but that kind of says it all. The fact that he's managed to score that many runs in a what has been a complete shit show of a team. I mean, and he's captain as well, so he's managed to actually keep it together and score that many runs in a crap team, which I think is, it's pretty impressive.
I think it's easier to be impressive in a bad team than
but not score that many runs though. He's scored.
I'm trying to compare to Viv Richards when he scored the 17-10, or when Mohammad Yusuf scored 17.
No, I know, but we're not comparing it to them. We're comparing him to the rest of the mere mortals of this year. And I think, to be fair,
I gotta go Ashwin personally. I think even though Root was fantastic, I gotta stick with Ashwin. I think.
Ashwin hates England.
No, I loved Joe Root this year. He was sensational. Like, genuinely, he was outstanding. But I think just because of the fact that he wasn't able to help England win that many games, that's the big deal for me.
But how much more can he do? Like, I mean, he would literally need to have scored like 3,400. He would have need to have scored about double the amount of runs. Literally, that's literally, look at the rest of what. So Joe Root averages 60 this year.
Yeah,
and then it's Burns averages like
29 or 30 or
29,
something.
and then their third highest scorer this year is extras. That's ridiculous. Like, what? Like, it was unbelievable. So 1,700 runs Root. I think it's 500 runs Burns, and everyone else.
And then 440 is extras. Or something.
Yeah. Anyway,
actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with you, Fizan. Joe Root.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Yeah. Joe Root was brilliant. He was amazing. He has been brilliant. Can't really argue it. Yeah.
The hundreds he scored in Sri Lanka and India is one of the best displays of batting and spin in spinning conditions I've ever seen. Like, unbelievable, genuinely.
He's got 6 centuries in a year. That's no small feat. So
look, I mean, he's played a lot of matches. I mean, we knew that he would get close to Mohammad Yusuf's record at the start of the year when he started banging hundreds for fun, because they had so many, and they've played 17 matches this year or 19. But I mean, look, he's been incredible, and some of those hundreds were chanceless hundreds where there were no way that he could have got out. There wasn't like a drop catch here and poor keeping or poor fielding. It wasn't. It was just he didn't give the opposition a single chance. So I'll give it. Yeah, I think he rightfully gets Test Player of the Year. But look, I completely understand why Kaneratne had a phenomenal year, and that's why he's up for it. And same with Ashwin as well. I don't know who the fourth player is, but anyway, I don't think it's Pat Cummins. Anyway, most disappointing Test player. Carl Jamieson. Yes, I mean, honourable mentions Carl Jamieson. He's had a phenomenal year as well. And actually, he might be potentially maybe the breakout player of the year, but I didn't put him down. But I guess that's someone we could talk about. Most disappointing Test player of the year. I'm always interested for this. Asjad, we'll go with you first.
Right. It's a triplet or a trio of bad performances. If you look at the number of runs from Chiteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, you might think, oh, that's a pretty good year. But then you look at their averages, you look at the number of matches they've played. It's horrendous. If I had to pick one, I'll pick Ajinkya Rahane. He's averaged 820 or 19, something like that this year. After that 100 he scored late last year, it was like, oh, maybe he's got back into the nick of things. But he just hasn't. So for me, Ajinkya Rahane is the most disappointing player. You could talk about Babar Azam and say, oh, you expect a lot from him, and use the same logic that I used for Rizwan. But I think Ajinkya Rahane was just so horrible, so uneventful as a batsman this year. It was quite disappointing from an Indian perspective and from a cricket fan perspective. So if I had to pick one, it would be one of those three, and the one I picked is Ajinkya Rahane.
Okay, I'll quickly go because I've got a couple. Then Venu, I'll get your thoughts. I've got Virat Kohli as one, just because I think last year I didn't give. I don't know if it was Test player or ODI player. I think we gave it to him for one of the categories, and it's just
We did.
And I said it then, and I'll say it again. I think we expect a lot from him. I mean, the average is like I think over 50 in all three formats, or close to that anyway. And he is such a phenomenal player that when he has a year which isn't anywhere near those types of figures, it is a disappointing year. And I know that there's a lot of kind of talk around him not scoring 100 since whatever start of 2020. I don't think he still hasn't scored 100. So that's kind of like a long ongoing thing, but might be a bit harsh to give it to him. But I agree, Rahane and Pujara have also been underwhelming to say the least. Marcus Harris as well. I mean, he got away with it a little bit because he scored a 50 recently, but before that, I mean, he was averaging like 9 for about a year. I mean, he's been horrific, Marcus Harris. He's been so poor. Very, very lucky that he got runs in that match because he, and lucky that Australia are winning, to be fair. And then you can look at really all the England batsmen bar Root and just say they've all been poor. So, yeah, I don't know. Benny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think those are some good mentions there. I've gone for the England batsman, Rory Burns. The fact that he was England's second leading run scorer this year and getting dropped in the third Test match is disappointing. But I think what you've both said, I'm happy to concede, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's. What do you mean? It's disappointing that they dropped him, or disappointing?
No, disappointed that. I think he had quite a good 2020, I believe. And he has Ashes 100 against Australia back in 2019. And we were hoping, something similar for this Ashes campaign. But as you say, first ball of the Ashes, first ball he faced, he gets bowled. It's just disappointing.
I think it's been a little bit disappointing. But to be fair, he is the second highest run scorer. I mean, it's not really saying much considering that England haven't scored many runs.
Second highest run scorer gets dropped. What's that about?
Okay,
I feel like you're more disappointed about the decision, than the actual player. So yeah, that's a different category. But yeah,
to be honest, right? I get where you're coming from, Venu. And on top of that, if you look at his career earlier this year, between April and July, if you look at first class games and Test cricket, he was scoring a few 50. I think he scored like 650 scores in 8 or 9 innings. But from that point to what he was batting like in the Ashes and against India as well, I understand where Venu's
a drop off, yeah.
That drop off is just annoying.
But we've got to look at it for the whole year, though. To be fair, I don't know. And what do you think I should? Who did you go with? I forgot
who I said. Rahane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't really.
Any of the
Burns,
three
whatever.
Indians, right? Any of the three.
We can go with Rahane. That's fine. I mean,
I'm fine with
that. I think Rahane's not. Rahane's definitely lucky to be in the side. For sure.
I think today's match he played a silly shot, didn't he, to get out?
Yeah. Got out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. Like this is definitely a topic for another video. But I was thinking when we were talking about in the group about Vihari and other players, and I was thinking, obviously Kohli should be in the side. I mean, he's phenomenal. But Kohli, Pujara, and Rahane have taken up the 3, 4, 5 spot for so many years. That what that's going to mean is that there's going to be a huge void in that team when they leave, and they'll probably all leave at relatively similar times. But also, what that's meant is that, similar to the really great Australia team in the past, there'll be players who will come into the side in their 30s potentially, and they actually were good enough to be in the side, but these guys were just that good, how they kept them out. Like, for example, Mike Hussey, who started his career really late compared to, others. But yeah, just interesting note.
Scott Boland right now, by the way.
Yeah, Scott Boland. Yeah. Obviously, was it Pattinson retired?
Yeah.
Australian quick. I mean, he might be thinking, why did I retire now? I could have played this Ashes. But look, I mean, he didn't play for years. And he's a really, really good bowler, to say the least. But yeah, cool. Most disappointing player of the year goes to Rahane. Okay, let's go on to the women's section. Women's player of the year. Venu, who have you put?
I put down Dane Van Niekerk. The fact that the reason I put her down is because I think she captained the Oval Invincibles to win the inaugural tournament of the 100. And she was finished a top run score of 259. And as well as that, I put down the women's team as the Oval Invincibles. And that's why I put her down.
Okay, fair enough. Asjad?
Again, as everyone might know, I don't follow women's cricket as much, but I did a bit of research only for you, Fazan, only for you, and learning a few more things. So Lizelle Lee of South Africa, she's been outstanding this year, be it in limited overs cricket, be it ODI or Test or whatever, T20, sorry. So she's one of the big contenders for me. And then the second player was Anisa Mohammed from West Indies. She's bowled really well this year. Again, I've looked at more at T20s and ODIs because I think not many test matches were played anyway this year, were they? So I tried to concentrate on both of those. So Lizelle Lee was in the top 10 run getters in ODIs and in T20s. So I'll probably have to give it to her from South Africa. And for that reason, my women's team of the year is also South Africa, who have been impressive away from home, been impressive at home, thrashed Pakistan in Pakistan. I don't think they lost any bilateral series this year as well. So for me, again, it's not England, Australia, or India, but it's the only team outside of the top three that has performed really, really exceptionally well in this year for women's cricket.
No, that's fair. I've got a note here as well about Beth Mooney. I think she's had quite a good year, if I'm not mistaken, for Australia. But I'm happy to go with one of your picks. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to maybe go with if we go with who was your pick after the South African?
Lizelle Lee.
Lizelle Lee, and then maybe go with the Oval Invincibles for Women's Team of the Year because they've captained, as Venu said, very well. She captained them very well. And I think that's quite an important win as well. It definitely has helped propel the women's game, the 100 for sure. I think a lot more than the men's game. So that's definitely a positive out of that. So well done to both. I've got here Breakout Player of the Year. So these are some of the interesting categories. So Breakout Player of the Year. Venu, who have you put?
I've gone for my man, Menindu Hasaranga.
That's my man. Hey, it's my boy.
He's also my man for the sake of argument.
He's just been, I know he's been around before, but he's really made his name in the international scene from his performances this year. And in the T20 World Cup, he was fantastic. I think he made a team of the tournament, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And he's the number one T20 bowler in the world now.
For a guy who says he's a batsman who bowls a bit, that's impressive.
Yeah, he can bat well as well. Yeah, score some good runs. Yeah, fair enough. Ashton, who have you put?
Mohammed Rizwan. I thought he was just outstanding. So for me, I know Wanindu Hasaranga I completely get, but I did not expect Rizwan to be in most people's teams this year, especially for T20 cricket, and being potentially the second wicketkeeper in any test side in the world as well. So that's just the thought that I've gone with. So
you say the second wicketkeeper?
Yeah, so like a lot of teams that are a lot of people are bringing up teams. Test team of the year, Test team 2021. It's Rishabh Pant and Mohammed Rizwan as the two, and people are going with Pant because they played more Test cricket, etc., etc. So yeah, there we go.
Definitely should be Rizwan, but yeah. I actually haven't put Rizwan. Mainly, why I didn't put him, I think, is because he has been good in Test cricket last year. This year, I'm pretty sure he was good last year. He was pretty solid. This year, he's been good. But yeah, the T20 stuff, he's definitely improved. So I can see why you've given it to him. I've got a few. Hasaranga was on my list. I've got Devon Conway, my boy as well. Devon Conway, he's played really, really well this year. He definitely is a breakout player. No one knew about him. He scored hundreds in the World Test Championship final, if I'm not mistaken. Scored 100 against England.
I know he scored 200 against England.
Yes, he scored 200 against England. So one was on his debut. He also has done one on the T20 scene as well. I mean, probably that harmed Australia when he punched his bat and then broke his finger because that was a big, big blow. But he's done really well on the T20 scene. Broke through against West Indies, I want to say, and scored a lot of runs in the T20 scene. And also now is a fixture in the ODI side. So he's broken into all three formats this year, which to me is what the definition of a breakout player of the year is. I've also put as a note Asalanka, but I think that's a bit more.
Great.
That's a bit more of a. I mean, he's broken through into the T20 format, but is it premature to say he's break? I don't know, but I think he definitely had a really good tournament. Yeah, thoughts?
Asalanka's a good shout, Fazan.
Yeah, okay.
But who's your breakout?
I think Devon Conway. Devon Conway makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Devon Conway.
Yeah, Devon Conway. Yeah,
Happy to
I mean,
concede
broke
that
into
one
all
way.
3 formats, and he's been phenomenal, to be fair. So yeah, Devin Conway, my boy, I'll tag you. He has viewed my stories before, so hopefully he follows me on Instagram. Best young player of the year, 2021. Usher will go with you first.
Shaheen Afridi. He's still young. He's
Yeah,
21. Again, you might say,
yeah.
oh, like the restriction or the criteria was 23 and under, right? If
Hmm.
it's young. So he's
Mhm.
21. He's been fantastic. He's the second highest wicket taker in tests. He's in the top for T20s as well. Whenever he's played, he shows that energy as well. That's really important. On top of that, he's been crowned as the captain of the Lahore Columbus team as well. So for me, he's just been outstanding. If you count in young players, I think Shaheen Shah Afridi's been wonderful. So yeah.
Yeah, Venu?
Oh yeah, same. Likewise, and I think my memories of this year will be that opening spell against Australia, where
Unbelievable.
Me, it's the India one.
unbelievable.
But yeah, he was
Unbelievable.
unplayable, man. At
Yeah.
least 3 times in this T20 World Cup.
Yeah, unbelievable.
First over.
And he's broken into the top 3 of the test bowlers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taken 47 wickets this year, and that's pretty good feat considering he's a pace bowler. So
In Pakistan, yeah.
yeah, so that's I think.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I've put
second on the list of this year.
Is he okay?
Ashwin's number 1. He's taken
Yeah.
52 wickets, but Shaheen Shah's taken 47. And
He
He
Hassan
must have
Ali
played
got
less
41.
matches though, right?
Sorry,
He must have played less matches.
no, actually,
Because you played more.
no, they played the same matches, but
Oh, okay.
Ashwin has bowled nearly 90 more overs.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. He's a
Oh,
spinner.
he's a spinner, yeah.
Yeah. I put Shaheen was on my list. I also put Mujeeb. I think Mujeeb's been unbelievable. Mainly because for the next category, I've got Shaheen in my list, which is why I wanted to leave him. But we'll see. We'll discuss that. And then Noor Ahmed as well, the left arm wrist spinner for Afghanistan. He broke through in the PSL, and he's been quite cool. So maybe that should have been Breakout Player of the Year, but. Yeah, I'm happy to go with Shaheen if that's what you guys want to go with. Obviously, he's phenomenal. I think it's a bit unfair to put him in the Young Player of the Year category. It's almost like like sometimes you just
Add a criteria, Faizan.
I know. But as in, like, you just chuck someone in. It's just like he's always going to win it. Like there's not many players that are that good, like under the age of 23, but he's just that good. Like, it's just unbelievable. But yeah, fine. Let's go to Shaheen. Yeah, phenomenal player. Right, the big one. Best all format player 2021. I'll go first because obviously I think I've kind of given it away. But I think Shaheen has been that good. I genuinely think he's been that good in all formats. And it's an all format player, right? So it has to be someone who plays all 3 formats, and he's been good in all 3 formats. I also have a note here, Babar Azam, just because like he's the number 1 white ball player in ODIs and T20s. He's been really good in those. Test cricket, he's not been as good. But I think he's been good enough to be in the running. Should he win it or not? I don't know. I've also got a note, David Warner, but I don't know if he's played enough cricket in general this year for the ODI stuff as well. But he had a really good T20 World Cup. And also in the test run, he's been pretty good. It's hard because obviously people like Joe Root, they don't play T20, so you can't give them the best all format player really. So I'm trying to, I've kind of made my thinking like that, but I'm sure there's other players that I've missed. Venu, who have you put?
Babar Azam.
Okay.
But I'm tempted. I'm happy to be swayed to Shaheen Shah Afridi if we need to. But Babar Azam has been good. But we always tend to pick a batter. But Shaheen Shah has been fantastic this year.
He has been, yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry, Graham.
Yeah?
Yeah, go.
Should I go? Or yeah. I was going to talk about Devin Conway, but we already talked about Devin Conway earlier, didn't we? Yeah, so... Yeah, I'm happy with Shaheen Afridi. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Young player of the year, all format player of the year. I'm happy with Shaheen Afridi getting both of those because he has been that good, right? That's the thing.
He has been that good, yeah.
It's there's loads of stats about Shaheen Shah's performances this year. Same with Rizwan, same with Babar Azam. Unfortunately, the testing kind of just puts him one level below Shaheen for me. That's why I'll go with Shaheen Shah Afridi. But definitely, they've been really, really good. It might sound like we're very pro-Pakistani considering we have 2 Pakistanis here, but Pakistan has actually been really good this year. This has probably been one of Pakistan's best years over the past, like even in the Mickey Arthur era, even before that, they haven't been consistently good in Test and T20s. I'm disregarding ODIs because, obviously. But Shaheen Afridi has been genuinely very, very good. And I'm happy with us going with him for the all-format player of the year.
Yeah, I think we only lost 2 Test matches this year. Could be wrong. But I think it's only 2 Test matches. And obviously did really well in the World Cup until Australia, did what Australia can do. Really, really good win. But yeah, happy to see what Shaheen Afridi is the best all-format player of 2021. I just think, I guess, with India, if some of the Indian players had a really good T20 World Cup, then they might be in the running.
KL Rahul would have been. KL Rahul or Rohit Sharma would have been.
Yeah, they would be in the running. They would be in the running if they'd got through the group stages. Devon Conway definitely a choice as well. But yeah, happy to give Shaheen. I think rightfully so. 2022 player to watch or look out for. So kind of the player you're most excited to watch. It can be a youngster, can be someone that already is doing well, and you're just really excited to watch them play. But and mainly a player that you think is going to do well in 2022. Usher, will go with you first.
Right. This is a really tough one because I could go with, I think I said Virat Kohli last time, and I'm probably going to stick with Virat Kohli this time as well because I've been expecting a lot.
Finally scores 100.
Yeah. Right. Thing is, there's a lot of young players coming out from a lot of different nations. We've mentioned Pakistani players. You can talk about the Indian side of things. Akshar Patel, he's been outstanding in the 5 games he's played. Kyle Jamieson, another player. Devon Conway, right? If you look at Joe Root, maybe Joe Root can have another stellar year next year. Kane Williamson, I don't know how we've not talked about him, but he's just not been that much in the forefront this year as he was. What was it like?
Well, he had a good T20 World Cup, to be fair.
Exactly, he's played really well, but because the team has worked out quite well, it's not been the same thing. Shakib Al Hasan, potentially maybe his last couple of years for playing for Bangladesh, who, by the way, got into the prestigious zone of scoring, over 1,000 runs or something in T20s and getting 100 wickets. I don't think many players have done that in T20 internationals. But for me, I'm going to be very biased here. I'm going to go with Virat Kohli as my player to watch out for.
Okay, very cliche answer. Venu, what about you?
I've got some. So I've got a few. So our boy Winindu Hasaranga, watch out for him. Kyle Jamieson of New Zealand, watch out for him. Maybe this might be, please Asjad, Rishabh Pant. I think he's going to have a good 2022.
Yeah,
he had a good 2021 as well.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about him, have we, this year? After he's played a match-winning innings at the start of the year to beat Australia. He's played some good knocks, but I think Rishabh Pant for next year, and for the 22 World Cup, look up for him.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing this year in the World Cup, wasn't he?
He was.
I expected more from him. He didn't get any runs, I don't think, from what I remember. In Australia, it'll be interesting. I mean, the thing is, he's good enough to get runs there as well, to be fair, as we saw in the Test arena. So let's see. It'll be very interesting with T22 2022 World Cup.
He's had really good performances in 2021. It's just the fact that India has played a lot of Test cricket, right? For that reason, obviously, he's going to score runs. He's going to come in and save the game. I can think of 3 performances against England and Australia this year itself.
Yeah.
So he's been really, really good. It's just that someone else has been better, so we haven't really put him into the main. Like, he's always been in the nominations. He's just not been the winner this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think away from home in England, he wasn't amazing as well, if I'm not mistaken. At home, he was great.
I'm sure he averaged 30 for a wicketkeeper. It's pretty fine. For a wicketkeeper, just
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's true. His keeping's improved a lot as well, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. I'm happy to go with different players because it's not really like you don't have to agree on it. I'll go with Kyle Jamieson. I'm interested to see what he does in other formats and also in other conditions. He's got a lot of his wickets at home. Obviously, he did well as well in the UK, but it'll be interesting to see him go, for example, to an India, go to a Pakistan, go to a South Africa, even go to Australia, just see what he's like, not just in the Test matches, but in the ODIs, which I think he'll probably be a fixture in, and then can he push himself into the T20 side as well? Can he adapt? Because I know he went for big money for, was it RCB, and didn't really do anything. And I said it was surprising.
They dropped him after a little while, right?
Which isn't surprising because he hasn't really settled into that format yet. So let's see how he does, and hopefully he comes good in all formats because he's a very talented player. Right, most entertaining match of the year.
Gabba
Venu,
2021.
what have
Sorry.
you put?
Actually, that's a good show. Actually, I forgot about that. That was a great match to watch, wasn't it? In terms of test matches, in terms of T20, would have been Australia getting the job done against Pakistan in the semi-final.
England, New Zealand as well was good, I thought.
They're both semi-finals were fantastic. Watch.
Nisham blasting everywhere.
Just like you're watching, it's like thinking unbelievable cricket. But as a test purist, I've got to go for the Asha. Thank you for reminding me. The India pulling off a famous victory and the series winning run chase, the back-to-back series win in Australia. Got to give it to that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, so not the West Indies beating Bangladesh, getting them 395 target. Then I'm just checking his spanner, but I think that it's difficult, right? Because I think because they're two less well-known big teams, it doesn't get as much hype, which is maybe a little bit unfair, but
it's a good point.
I kind of see.
I agree with you there, actually.
But that's fine. We can give it to the Gabba match. India's win over Australia. Asher's very happy about that. But honourable mention to the West Indies beating Bangladesh and the two semi-finals as well. The T20 World Cup are really, really good.
And we got to remember, Pakistan, South Africa test matches as well that happened in April. Pakistan, those were really good.
They were good. They're competitive for sure.
Yeah, there were a lot of really good matches. But for me personally, entertainment-wise, that Gabba game was, if we talk at Test cricket, right, that was just outstanding. Right. For that reason, I have to give it to it. Or, you could talk about the last hour and 15 minutes of the third test in the Ashes, which was just hilarious. So there was 6 wickets for like 30, whatever it was.
Or we can talk about Akshar Patel just getting all the England batsmen out with the pink ball. In fact, that should have been the funniest moment. The funniest moment is Bairstow getting out, and then they review it, and he's given not out because it's a no ball, and then next ball he gets bowled again. That is the.
You know what the funniest thing is? England's selection. Fazan, England selection, both times day-night test matches, they're like, let's go all pace attack. All pace attack in India doesn't make sense, but all pace attack in Australia doesn't make sense either. It's just shocking, man. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I remember that.
Bairstow getting out about 5 times to Akshar Patel on the same
and getting hit wickets, like from the English keeper batsman getting, 2 or 3 hit wickets this year as well.
Anyway, right. Okay, to wrap it up, then I'm going to ask you a very challenging question because I want to, which is the 2022 World Cup, T20 World Cup. Who's going to win it? We did this last year, and I'm going to throw it in as a spanner. And basically, the answer you give is the answer you have to give for the rest of. No, I'm joking, but basically, you give an answer. So, Asjad, who are you going to pick for the 2022 World Cup in Australia? Hopefully, it goes ahead given the current circumstances. But yeah.
I'm gonna not go left field and be very, very biased and say Pakistan. Pakistan's gonna win it. Right. This is the thing. No one thought Pakistan was gonna do anything, and Pakistan played really well. Now everyone's expecting Pakistan to do really well. They're gonna absolute flop. But I keep thinking of this. 1992, Australia, Pakistan won the World Cup. Right. 2015, Australia. Pakistan did not win the World Cup. So, they win one, then miss one, and then they're going to win one. That's my theory. So
that Pakistan is very weird. I don't know how you figure that out. Fair enough. Benny?
India,
okay.
Probably the best shout ever.
Do you think?
They're really good in Australia. I don't think
they're going to do that well. We'll see.
Oh, I think they'll be good.
I think they'll do okay. I think they'll get
to the final.
They'll do better than they did this year.
Yeah.
I'd hope so, but... The UAE, I thought they would be much better. But...
well.
Sorry?
They got something to prove considering they had such disappointing...
That's true as well. And they've got fast bowlers, to be fair. It's not like they...
Like today, they've got Mohammad Siraj, Shami as well. And not Shami, Bumrah.
Yeah, Shami's one of them.
Jasprit Bumrah, mate. They've got the bowlers for Australia. And they've got spinners. They should be okay.
Okay. Only New Zealand. I don't know why. For some reason I always pick New Zealand. But,
New Zealand's going to get to the final and lose again, right?
I said New Zealand last year. Do you remember? And they got made it to the final. I was like, come on, New Zealand, just do it. They didn't do it. But anyway. And you know what? We're probably all going to be wrong and Australia going to win it again. And just basically
Sri Lanka going to win.
Put egg on our face and say, you know what? We're the best T20. Yeah, it's Sri Lanka. Who knows? Sri Lanka just... Or Mickey Arthur's left, though. So I'm now a bit we'll see. See how it goes. Anyway, anything to wrap up on before we wrap up ourselves, even?
Thank you for having us on, Fazan. Always a pleasure. For everyone watching, please like, subscribe, and share this video to everyone you know, even if they don't like cricket, and ask them to like the video because it really helps the algorithm. That's
exactly. It really does. Venu, what about you?
No, it's been a fantastic year of cricket. Was hoping England would do slightly better in the Ashes, but oh well. Good thing I didn't go. I was planning to go to this tour, but with COVID, I didn't go. We can't really thank COVID, can you? But anyway, looking forward to next year. The T20 World Cup in Australia is going to be a good one. And I think England are touring Pakistan. Hopefully that goes ahead. Looking forward to that. But other than that, yeah, bring on 2022.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you both for being on, Venu, as always, and Asjad as well. If you haven't, do check out Cricket For Us 2.0, which is Asjad's channel. And I'm sure you already have subscribed. But if you haven't, do subscribe. And yes, please do like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that good stuff. Have a fantastic rest of the 2021. And we will see you in 2022 for some more cricket, as always. Thank you very much.